Good morning. So the G7 meeting ended like yesterday. Trump has come back to the U.S. to Washington. I watched MSNBC's coverage of it, and maybe it's kind of partisan to use them as my only American news source. But they made a really good point on their panel in discussing how Trump was treated, how the other world leaders kind of reacted to his presence. Something we talk about, or I talk about very often with you guys, is just how if the United States, I'm gonna say the West, if the United States chooses to, go on this path of aggressionism, which is what it is. If the United States chooses to go on this path of destructive, racist, divisive politics, racist, destructive, divisive politics in America, if they choose to pretty much ignore climate change and go back to coal mining and all that, and this protectionist, threatening everybody else in the world, if they choose to go down this path, the world will go on without America. We've seen this. The whole world is still engaging in the Iran deal. No one has followed the United States. No one important. The Europeans, I think China, they're all still paying in. No, I think Iran is violating the policy now, and I don't see why they shouldn't. I don't see why should they go along with it when you've got a man threatening your livelihood and threatening your peace and sanctity of your country. Well, of course they're not going to do that. They can use that nuclear energy to create energy opportunities for their people. Okay? I say all the time I love Trump because Trump really exposes what capitalism always was. The unfairness, the brutality, the double standard. And I'm speaking about corporate powers and rights over the individual. And how we really don't matter. How even when we try to do this, that, and the other, we don't matter. We don't. Not in the scheme of things. We really don't matter. Or I mean, billionaires versus the individual. I mean, that's another good one. That's what he shows you. And one thing I believe is when you have a government or a politician that's so goddamn dirty and so goddamn corrupt and so goddamn racist, anybody's got eyes to see will see the injustice. You understand? And I know that Trump doesn't care about that. I get it. People don't care about it. They're so full of hate. They stop caring a while back. I know that. They're well beyond caring, and I get that. But I think that when you engage in injustice, people see it, you lose some of that moral currency. I think you lose some of that. And they were actually saying that the people at the G7 pretty much were like kind of trying to placate Trump, I guess. If that's the right way to use. Like not wanting to anger him and everything. I just thought it was so funny. And Professor Eddie Glaude said this, and people on the panel were saying the same thing, that they've moved on. They just want to keep America. I mean, I need to save that man's interview because it's sometimes people do interviews and it's about a particular topic, but it's so pertinent and it's so on point that it can be used for more. It's multitask. Like I have a multi-tool, but it's more than just pliers. It's more than just a knife. It's more than just a screwdriver. You see, you got multi-tools that have a USB drive in them. Someone got a flashlight in them. That's how I feel about that guy's comment. That's what's happened. The world's moving on. The world is moving beyond Trump. That's just what it is, man. He's isolating America, and I'm an American, and I'm here to tell you that that's what they should be doing. Is just doing what they can to keep Trump from interfering. He's like the guy in the crowd, the guy in the group that's so fucking stupid that people start doing things and not inviting him to the party. That's what Trump is now. He's the guy that he's talking to like one person out of a crowd of 5 people, and that one person is telling everybody what he's saying. And that one person's like, they're like, well, you can invite him to, don't invite him to these parties. Like, he can come to some of them, and we'll play him, and we'll be like, oh, we gotta cut it short. We gotta cut it short. We just don't want to see your sorry ass. He'll go meet somewhere else. We don't invite him to the parties. We don't invite, that's Trump, man. He's the loser. He's a loser, man. And once again, going back to what I said about how when you have such blatant injustice from Trump, it kind of reminds me of when Bush went into the Iraq War and we found out the weapons of mass destruction. And when they, I started realizing it was war crimes. I was reading a book back then when I was 16. I think I know it was a book. It was called. I was hanging out with Brother Armstrong. It was a book called "The Case of Impeachment Against George Bush." It was that year I hung out with him for the Super Bowl and all that stuff. Yeah. Man. I knew that was wrong back then, even though I wasn't a conservative. I wasn't a liberal, I wasn't a progressive. I knew it was wrong even then. It's sometimes, I wish I could go back. Like, I listen to music from like 2008 and 2005 and shit. Like, I go back to the Armin van Buuren podcast from back then. Sometimes I want to go back and look at like the political progressive scene back then. And I do watch some stuff, but I mean like really, because it's like I lost out. Because for so long I was trying to put forward the libertarian ideal, which I realize now is bullshit. It's not that it's not bullshit. It's like it's a philosophy that doesn't work 99% of the population. It doesn't. I mean, it's good. It's humanitarian. It's good principles, but it's not real. It's an unjust system, and corporate power is only growing even stronger and stronger. You can't fight against these corporate interests and protect your health by being an individual. It's not going to work. They're going to pollute your water and give your kids cancer, and your son's going to grow breasts, and you're not going to stop that. Don't you see? Don't you see how hard it was for them having a fight to put the Surgeon General's warning on cigarettes and expose asbestos and all the other there were people that fought and died to expose corporate poisoning of our waters, of our foods. And you think that by making smaller, listen, FDA's got plenty of problems. USD, they got plenty of problems. But by you, like what Trump's doing, he's making it where I think now they don't test pork and stuff like that. Dude, you know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing. You're weakening the safety guards that were designed to protect the public's health and well-being and their welfare. You're making the country, you're making the economy, you're making the path of a cycle of food in this country that much more dangerous. Sometimes trucking in and stuff like that, manufacturing, really making that much more dangerous for the average person. But like I said, as a socialist, just like I woke up with Charlottesville, doesn't wake up call because I kept thinking like someone's gonna do something about it, and Trump pretty much dropped the ball. Very fine people. It's just like not going back to the Iraq War with George Bush when it came out, weapons of mass destruction, and we weren't going to wind the war down. We were getting more involved in it, and I started to realize, and like even the Democratic Party, they weren't trying to I expect people to face charges and stuff. Didn't happen. Like a gentleman told me, Look at all the folks right now who helped to push Iraq war, who still have a job. They haven't been punished. They haven't lost anything for all their lives lost in their bullshit war, fought on false pretense. I think stuff like this pushes folks to socialism. I do. I really do. I think it pushes folks to socialism because the system is so unjust. It's so manifestly corrupt that you can't fix it. You know? And I think that's a positive thing about Trump and people like him, leaders like him, is that they're so corrupt, they're so dirty, they're so racist that people are like, hey, you know, this guy's an idiot. Maybe if he had done some of this stuff 20 years ago, some of it would have been okay. But peace, y'all.